All right. So let's look. And then it says you have a diagonal matrix, and a diagonal matrix is, it says, a square matrix whose all the elements except the diagonal elements are zeros. It's called a diagonal matrix. So notice it has to be a square matrix first, and secondly, everything except the leading diagonal will be zero, as you have here. Notice the 3, the -3, and the -8 form a diagonal, a diagonal line across from the top to the bottom. But every other element within this 3 by 3 is all in zeros. So hence it is a diagonal matrix. So in general, it says A, the matrix A, is diagonal if when we have the elements that are not in the diagonal, it equals 0. Okay? So very important. Those diagonal matrices are very, very useful in other forms of geometry. All right? And we're going to get to those forms as we go along. Okay? Questions so far? Questions so far? So we are
Sir,
yes.
what the N stands
Seminar
for again?
stand nothing.
The N stands for the number of columns. So if, for example, look at this one here. 1, 0, -5.
Here.
This has 1. This line here where you see the cursor, that's 1. Then the other number is 2. And then the other number is 3. But those 3 are horizontal. So those are called rows. And then the vertical portion is the column. So this is 1, 2, 3, 3 rows by 1 column. This one has 1 row, see? 1 row, but it has 1, 2, 3 columns. So that's called a 1 by 3. In a square matrix, the number of rows and the number of columns is equal. So notice 1, 2 rows, 1, 2 columns, right? And then in the diagonal, you have 1, 2, 3 rows, 1, 2, 3 columns. So it's a 3 by 3 matrix. Yes.
Sir,
Hmm.
in the diagonal thing, you said something about if the zero or if the element's not there, the zero, something with the zero
All right,
have to
I
be
said
there.
yes, the zeros have to be there. In a
Okay.
diagonal matrix, we said that the diagonal here will have numbers, okay? Every other area or space that is not within this diagonal will be zeros. That's what we said, okay? So look at this one right here before we read that section. See, this is a 3 rows by 3 columns. That's one. So it's what we call a square matrix. But on top of it being a square matrix, note that the diagonal has numbers, has the number 2, right? 2. But all the other elements, all the other spaces have zeros. So it is not only a square matrix, but it also is a diagonal matrix. Okay? So when you see it's a
Send
diagonal,
a scalar matrix, so not a square.
huh?
The square only got 2. The only a scalar because it's a
No,
square,
no,
so
no,
you
no,
only
no.
have 2.
No. Square is not talking about sides, Miss Savory. A square matrix only means that the number of rows that it has and the number of columns that it has is the
Number
same
2?
number. No, it's the same number. 2 by 2 is what you call a square matrix. 3 by 3 is also a square matrix. 4 by 4 is also a square matrix. 5 by 5 is also a square matrix. So the word square only means that if the first number is whatever is x, the second number must also be x. Okay?